Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi has the night off, so to speak. Halfway through his first term, he is not on the ballot tonight. But Mr. Mayor, we want to thank you for returning to your old stomping grounds, as you were general manager here for a few years. And full disclosure, we are longtime personal friends, dating back to the days when he was an assistant football coach at the UH, and I was a young sportscaster covering the Bows. But are you happy tonight to be off duty and not having to worry about the votes coming in?
I'm happy tonight to be with you, and I would tell you the truth is I also felt a sense of relief today because, you know, the campaign is arduous. It's very difficult and challenging, and my heart goes out to everybody tonight who's waiting to learn their results, because you don't get there without putting a lot of yourself into it. So I feel really good. It's good to be with you, Joe. We haven't been together in a long time.
No, we haven't. Since you became mayor, I can't get through all your security. I can't even get you on the phone.
Yeah, that's not true. You know that.
No, I'm kidding, of course. Any particular races you're keeping a close eye on tonight? City Council, I would imagine.
I think all of them, actually, because I think with the governor's race, our position, our team, our administration has come in really in a very collaborative mode. And we've had an excellent relationship with Governor Ige, but you know, we started out during a very dark time with COVID, difficult to get a lot of things done, not making any excuses. We have made a lot of progress, but I think with the new administration at the state level and our willingness and our promise, quite honestly, to work collaboratively with them, I think there's a chance for unprecedented collaboration between state and city, and I think the beneficiary of that will be the people of our state, but of our island especially. Obviously, the City Council is an important race for me as mayor, and so I want to wait to see how that shakes out. You know, one of the things that we really expect from our council members, and one of the things that we did create this year, was a lot of really good communication, collaboration. If you looked at the voting on the bills that we had really good responses. We had really good responses from the council on approving of our budgets, and it's been a very good working relationship. And just now that we're going to go through a transition, I obviously don't want to lose any momentum that we worked hard on that. And so hats off to Tommy Waters, the chair, and Esther Kia Aino, vice chair especially. And then, you know, obviously I'm curious about the Maui race. I think that Derek Kawakami on Kauai, I think it's a foregone conclusion, but as it was just reported, I think the race between Mike Victorino, who I've really grown to appreciate and like over the last couple of years and working with him, is expected to be a tough one, because I've gotten also to know Rick Bisson over the last 6 months, and he's a very formidable competitor. And I think, you know, so I'm really curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, in fact, Bisson actually got more votes in the primary than Victorino. I think it was an 8-person primary, so there's some sway there, but still, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's impressive. I mean, they're both impressive guys. So I mean, that race, I think, just have a real interest in and see what's going to happen. We've had a very good working relationship with the mayors. That's the other thing I'm really proud of. We all agreed coming in, Mitch Roth and I were the rookies, that, you know, we wanted to make sure, even though we had home rule as our base, everybody worked their islands their own way, especially during COVID and how we navigated. But when it came time to collaborate, we did, and there was a lot of good that came out of that.
All right, it seems the top issues among voters this election are cost of living, affordable housing, and crime. Sure. Is that about the way you see it? I think so. I think that that's true on the national scene as well, but I think that all of us are feeling that here. You know, we've been very focused on public safety as a top priority for us, and I'm very proud of the work we've been able to get done so far. Now that Joe Logan's been in office, or in the position as chief for nearly 4 months, but Steve Arm coming in the prosecutor's role, I think people have seen us together. We've collaborated on a lot of things. We're doing a lot there. Public safety is always going to be first and foremost, but this inflationary cycle that we're in and what that's done to impact people, we already had the challenge, as you said, with affordable housing. I already know what the percentages are of people living paycheck to paycheck. Add to that this uncontrolled upward spiral of costs, especially in the energy sector, and it's made life very difficult for people. All right, the short-term vacation rental situation. Yes. You put an ordinance in effect requiring updated permits and minimum stay requirements in specific zones, but a district court order has blocked enforcement of the new minimum allowable stay of 90 days. Where do things stand with that?
Well, we're 2 weeks into it, and we really know pretty much where the residential neighborhood houses are, and that's been our biggest concern. While we are still working and defending the ban that we asked for, and we have the opportunity to do so in court, we can enforce it 30 days, and we've already begun to enforce. We have a special team now that's been assigned to do that, so what we did as a compromise was we divided up Waikiki into 2 segments, Ko'olina and Turtle Bay, on those condo hotels. We're less concerned about that. But in 2019, when we had 10.5 million visitors visit Hawaii before COVID, we had 3 million of those visitors stay in illegal short-term vacation rentals. It wreaked havoc on our residential neighborhoods. The cost of housing took property off the market, and more than anything, really disrupted the fabric of our neighborhoods. And so we were able to get that ordinance passed on an 8-to-1 vote with City Council. We felt that we needed to do it. And the one thing that we did survive with in court was the fines. And so the fines are pretty heavy. And now we're working on the collections end of it as well. And so, we expect to enforce, and we're going to enforce aggressively. For me, this is a seminal moment and a really important part of legislation because it is about taking back our neighborhoods. And I would tell you, I have been humbled and heartened by the tremendous response we've received from all over the islands in appreciation for people. And so we're just now starting to build some momentum, but we're playing for real, we're playing hard, and people will soon know that. And hopefully we can hit a point where there's a tipping point that recognizes the city can enforce, and then we will begin to really greatly reduce in our residential neighborhoods illegal short-term rentals.
All right, you have until Monday or so, I believe, to sign into law Bill 51, easing the building permit rules, no longer requiring a notarized statement to apply for a permit. If you don't sign it, it automatically becomes law. Do you plan to sign it?
I think we're going to sign that, yes. Yeah.
Why was there hesitation?
Well,
there?
because, I'll tell you the truth, there's so many bill numbers going on in my head right now, and so I've been really focused on Bill 1 and also the fixing of DPP, if you will. It's the thing that kind of keeps me up at night, and it's something that we need to make happen. I just yesterday met with the teams for the very first time. After 22 months of office, we had 2 different groups come in because it filled up our memorial, our auditorium, Mission Memorial. So, yeah, what we want to do is we want to ease the whole process, and we're looking at every possibility we can to streamline it. We're using technology. We're obviously going to invest money. Joe, it's 22 months into the job. But the reality is we didn't have the monies available, which is now $15 million that we're investing into the Department of Planning and Permitting really until the fiscal year began, which was started in July. And this has been a tremendously challenging time to hire people as it is. But anything and everything we can do administratively from the organization, from anything else that we can do to better organize ourselves, ease some of the over-regulated practices that we had, quite honestly, that's what we're looking at doing.
All right, what do you think of HPD's pace of issuing concealed carry gun permits?
Yeah. Well, we have a Supreme Court ruling to deal with. We've taken a very aggressive stance, and I've received some criticism for that. But as I just said a few moments ago about public safety being a top issue, and if you look at the culture of our place, in 170 years, we're not a gun culture. We're not in Texas, and we're not in other places where, people have open carry and they're very relaxed about it. And as I've heard Chief Logan said, they'll just give you a gun. So what we've done is we've written a pretty aggressive position on sensitive places, on where people would be allowed to get them. I think we have on Oahu some 550 applications right now. We will, in earnest, process those applications accordingly and making sure that people who qualify can, but we're going to be very restrictive about where people can take those weapons for those people who earn the permits. And that just comes from a real personal bias on my part, with respect to having to support the Supreme Court ruling, but also not wanting us to be, I don't want this to be an easy place to have guns. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
And I just know And we've had a lot of support for that, by the way. A lot of people feel that way. So yeah, there's that group of people, and again, we will honor the law, but to the extent that we can adapt for a city and county, we will.
All right, here's a question that comes up every year. What do you feel about allowing a state lottery?
You know, that's a state lottery, okay? You know, I've watched
I know, but
for many
speaking
years.
from the mayor.
Yeah, you know, this is a place that gambles on everything, and I think every time that lotteries or legalized gambling comes up, it's always been shot down aggressively for all kinds of reasons. I'm not really in favor of a state lottery. You know, I was running television stations. I was running a company at the time. We had multiple stations in California and state lottery, and I heard all the rhetoric about where the money would go and learned pretty much where the money didn't go. And, you know, and so at the end of the day, it's not everything. I know people are enamored right now with this multi-billion-dollar thing that's going on somewhere on the jackpot, but I'm not in favor of legalized gambling.
All right. You're 76 years old now.
Really?
And may I just say, I hope I look as good as you when I'm your age.
Thank you. I feel good, Joe.
But I want to know.
Someday you'll be my age.
But I
right?
want to
like
know.
next week, maybe.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, okay.
several months.
Yeah.
Are you planning to run for a second term in a couple of years?
I am. I'm not going to be coy about that. You know, I'm really proud of what we've done in our first 22 months. But as I've learned recently, a really great expression, you know, the days are long and the years are short. You know, you just asked me a number of different questions. I think about how much we've done, but how much there is to do. And that's why I was saying earlier about my excitement about this evening and the possibility of a new administration and the collaboration between state and city. When you get into this job, you start to see it. Look, at the end of the day, this is a leadership job. It's about solving problems and making things happen. And there's so much to do, and I have such great confidence in our team. And the fact that we started out in a very dark place with COVID. You know, it was November 3rd, 2 years ago, just last week, that we won. And then we had to put together a cabinet during a very dark time in Hawaii. We had no talk of vaccines being readily available, you know, and there we were trying to put together a cabinet, and we did. We brought in 23 new directors, who then subsequently brought in 18 new directors, deputy directors. You know, it's a phenomenal team. We've had to make only very few adjustments. We were hamstrung in the beginning. You know, here we were, we came in a gang of 50, really, when some of the other people we brought in, we couldn't even put 5 people in a room, you know, and we were on these endless, you know, to get together to try to talk about the things. So that first year, again, I thought we got some good things done, some good foundation, some good planning, but we also were hamstrung financially because of the budget that we inherited, which the 2001 budgeted, because of this onset of COVID in March, understandably had been slashed in cuts. We had to live with that for 6 months. And then quite honestly, the prior administration, you know, the way it works, they made the 2022 budget, and we had 6 months to the day. We got sworn in on January 2nd, the March 2nd, to balance a budget that was not balanced. And we did that without any furloughs or raising property taxes. We had a $400 million deficit. And for that matter, we didn't cut any core city services. And we did that in 60 days, and the city council approved it for the first time in the first read, 9-0. I was really proud of that. But that budget of 22 was predicated and modeled over the 21 budget, which was tough. So this new fiscal budget that we just came into play with is in July, which now already is, time goes by so quickly, is more than a few months, is reflective of our priorities and the things that we were able to do to allocate monies on what our priorities were. So that's, you know, something that I'm not sure the general public really would understand, but you come in and everybody is looking for you to work a miracle. It was tough enough to come in during COVID, but you just can't move money around. Now, we both worked in TV for a long time. Those budget lines that we have in the private sector, that's not how a city works. And, you know, so monies get allocated, and you can't slide that much. And so, you know, aside from the fact that I was on a steep learning curve, there was just the reality of that. So that's why now, as we are going forward here, as we wind down 22 and really excited about the coming year, you know, I think you're going to see a lot of momentum from us. I think we're already beginning to make that happen, especially in the affordable housing front. I have a lot of confidence there. I'm really proud of what we've got done with the rail in just 22 months. We took it from being something that was, you know, everybody, it was a human cry about budget overruns, time delays, the uncertainty of it, the value of it. Even people who were supportive of it had grown so weary. And we didn't get a good deal going into office. You know, they removed the they didn't renew the contract of the outgoing CEO. They pulled out the P3, which is the method of financing. They announced a $3.67 billion overrun. All of that happened in the month before we took office in the middle of a pandemic. So, you know, I thought we got a lot done there. And now we've got it 22 months into it. We've got the FTA back in. They approved our recovery plan. They've come back to the table. They were holding money since 2017, $744 million. We've now done what everybody told me couldn't be done. I want to give Lori Kaikiner a shout out, our CEO, and Colleen Hanabusa, the head of the HEART board, and working with us collaboratively and creatively. But at the end of the day, you know, we had to amend how far we could go. What we did, Joe, fundamentally, is we shifted from all the rhetoric about what we couldn't do and said, okay, what can we do? And does that make sense? And to go 18.75 miles down to the Civic Center, which is Haleakala and South Street, will take us through the big three employment centers of Pearl Harbor, the airport, and downtown. You know, I think the next phase, you know, will be to Ala Moana and deeper into Kapolei, but that's going to go beyond my lifetime. You know, but the reality is this makes sense. We're able to get the FTA to amend a full funding grant agreement without any financial penalty, and everybody said that was the law of the land. That didn't happen. The EIS, that was the environmental impact study, was very minimal that they required. Everybody thought that that would be something that would be a deal breaker. So I feel really good about that. That was something we poured ourselves into, because I can tell you that during the campaign, you know, the rails, because the campaign, by the way, I announced in February, COVID hit in March. Yeah. My life was endless Zoom calls. Now, I don't know in a normal campaign how many people you address and see in groups and how often you speak. Mm-hmm. But we were doing 5 Zoom calls a day, you know, 7 days a week. So there were a lot of audiences out there, you know, and it went on forever. And so, you know, but you got a real feel for what was top of mind. Mm-hmm. And obviously affordable housing was, homelessness was, but the issue of rail was everybody's dumping ground. They were really upset about it. And so we took that on, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in this short amount of time.
All right, final non-political question.
Yeah, I'd like that.
As a former UH football...
You look very patriotic tonight. You're red, white, and blue
This
tie.
is my election night tie.
Is that your election night tie?
Yes,
yeah.
My wife always makes sure it's nice and clean for elections.
Yeah.
As a former UH player, football player, football coach, how frustrating is it for you to see Timmy Chang in his first season get so close in so many of these games and fall just short? Yeah,
it's been difficult. I was there the other night as well, and I will be there this Saturday night. You know, this team is... you know, I've not ever experienced a season like that, and I can only imagine the anguish, because they came in as enthusiastic as you could possibly imagine, established a good rapport, and I think we all rallied around Timmy, and you know, and feel familiar with Timmy, because it's not like some person you never knew. I mean, we all admired and cheered for him when he was a player, and obviously we want him to succeed as a coach. This has been a tough first year, there's no question. I think the kids have played hard. I think that they, you know, they suffered from the kids they lost in the transfer portal.
Yeah, big time.
They really did. There's a lot of other things to overcome. Division I football is a very competitive and tough business. So
you think the UH should stay in Division I?
I think mathematically they have to if they're going to have a Division I athletics program. You know, the question is, can they? You know, the uncertainty of the stadium and what that represents. I know they're expanding or planning on expanding Ching Field to get us to a 17,000-seat arena that, you know, on average you need to have 15,000 in attendance average in order to maintain Division I status. I think the Mountain West, I was just got a push alert yesterday. I think San Diego State's leaving to join the reformatted Pac-12. I don't really know much about the future of the Mountain West Conference as other conferences realign and what might get left, because they have a few good teams in there that could easily get picked off perhaps. And then what do you have? I think the battle going forward to stay in Division I is not going to be easy, but I think we have to be there if we're going to have an athletic program that is at the level that people here want to have. I mean, if everything you think about the Wahine volleyball, the men's volleyball, 2 times back-to-back defending national champs, even our baseball team has been getting more competitive, and other related sports, and soccer and so on. So, and basketball, just starting now. I mean,
Right.
Laura Beeman went to the NCAAs last year, and you know, and Iran's been there as well. I mean, you know, it's woven into the fabric of our community, and it's always been about competing at the highest level. And that's part of what we want to have as a local university in order to attract, you know, local athletes to stay home, compete, and play, you know, as part of also getting their education. So, and football is always the driver in that. And I can't imagine a Division II football program and trying to maintain economically and financially a Division I, the rest of it.
Mr. Mayor, it's been a pleasure having you here tonight. Thank you so much. Continued good health.
Yeah, continued good health. And so, since I'm going to re-up here, Joe, I expect you're going to be in this chair for a long time. Let's just put it on you. You're not thinking about retiring, are you?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
No.
That's a very quick answer. Okay. Because I've
And
gotten used to seeing you.
I have a young fellow might be waiting in the wings to step in.
Yeah, your son Bryce. I'm very proud of him. You know, I know him since before he was born, really, since from the time he came out into the world. And I'm sure that must make you very proud.
It does.
Yeah.
It certainly does.
Thank you, Joe, for this
Again,
opportunity.
thanks, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
You. All right.
Rick Blangiardi, the mayor of the city and county of Honolulu. And you did hear him say very early on in that interview, I asked him, are you planning to run for a second term? And he said yes. He was not going to be willy-nilly about that. He's giving a definite answer. He's going to run for re-election. Glad to hear it.
Thank you, sir.